Sounds of Real Estate podcast coming to you from the Advised Realty Services studio here in Southington, Connecticut. With me tonight, Kevin Green. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. I'm actually pumped for this one. So it's like we had my first guest was one of my agents, Vinny Ferrucci, was on. But I know we've been talking for a while, so it's awesome to get you on here to chat a little bit about this crazy thing we call real estate.
Real estate, yeah, yeah.
The love of it, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So how's everything going?
Good.
Yeah?
Good. Yeah, this year started out a little slow, but it's starting to pick up.
It's
now,
starting to pick itself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, I think like everybody had like the kind of, oh crap moment in January, but I think now, like you said, it's starting to pick itself up.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's real estate's still the same with the exception of the interest rates being up a little bit more, but
yeah,
you know, the activity's out there and it's lack of inventory.
Yeah, I think that's huge to understand is that, you know, a lot of people think that, hey, it's like the interest rates are crazy and it's slowing everything down, but it all comes out to this inventory and not having enough of it, you know?
Yeah.
Which is nuts. So a little background, tell me, I mean, I know little about you. I mean, we know each other for a while. Where are you from? Some things that these people don't know that they want to know about the mysterious Kevin Green.
Yeah, mysterious. Born and raised in Meriden. And I'm still there. I have 3 kids. We have raised our kids there in Meriden.
Nice.
We married young and
how young? Was
22. I
22.
was
wow.
married. Yeah.
That's a good though.
23. I was a father. So
that's I think it was the same thing. 23, 24. 24, yeah, around that age. It's great, right?
Yeah.
We're around now to see him growing up and
that's right. Yeah.
getting in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you know, now I've been blessed with 5 grandchildren because of that starting young type thing. So
yeah. So they keep you
awesome.
busy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Always running around. They in sports and everything, or
not really.
Yeah.
Not really. They're more, you know, the iPad, the iPhone, that type of thing. So
everything that keeps them busy.
One of the granddaughters, she's pretty active in sports. I watched her in soccer and stuff like that. So it's kind of reliving, you know, my kids. They did baseball, they did soccer, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a lifetime ago. So
yeah, I think it's crazy. One of the things I always talk about, you know, my daughter was like heavy into soccer. Hannah was volleyball. I think like when they stopped doing it, it kind of like you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like sitting there, you're like, all right, the weekend, like every day after school, we were at like volleyball games, and then we shoot over to soccer games. Then on the weekends, we're traveling all over the place.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when it stops, you're like, all right, now what?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I know it.
It's like you get bored. I end up going to my buddies' soccer games or stuff like that. It's just crazy. Like it's a big part of their lives, you know. Yeah. Our lives also, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So born and raised in Meriden. So you've seen the turnover and everything. Meriden's like a really, really cool town.
Yeah. I mean, Meriden is you can buy more house in Meriden than you can in surrounding towns.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing. A lot of. I mean, you got Hubbard Park there. You got Jafrita Park. You know, great places to hike and you know take the kids or whatever, feed the ducks.
Yeah.
You know that type of thing. So.
And it has a lot of cool restaurants. You know, Mary here in the office is from Meriden, so she is it Ted's, right? Isn't
Ted's Steam Cheeseburgers. Yeah.
That's a good place.
Nice.
And what else you got?
Vito's Pizza.
Vito's
restaurant, nice Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
So
those places are all good. So you guys have like a lot of hidden gems. The first house I actually sold was Washington Street in Meriden. Yeah, it was a foreclosure, but beautiful house built like in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Like walnut staircases. The thing was
Big
unbelievable. Huge house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had like an investor that ended up buying it, but really, really, really nice. Did a nice job with it, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a foreclosure. He ended up getting it for. I actually told the story. He ended up getting it for like $45,000. Yeah. Fix it up. So every time
18 years ago.
Oh God, I was 2015.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of which, real estate. So you've been in this for a while, right?
Yeah. I started September of 2000. My first deal was my father worked for Greenbacker Schwink, which is a dairy farm years ago, and he fixed their milk trucks. And Clarence Schwink was he knew I was going to get my license, so his sister was going to put the house on the market.
Yeah.
So he waited for me to get my license, get up and running, and then September was when I started and listed her house and sold it. That was my first deal.
Wow.
22 years ago.
Jeez.
So yeah.
And that's amazing, huh? Like that's always, it's like you always remember like your first like transaction, and
Oh yeah.
whether it was, I mean, was it stressful? How'd it go?
No, not bad.
No?
Of course, I don't remember all the details now, but no, it wasn't bad at all. It was a ranch, a nice part of Meriden, right by Schwink's Hill. What used to be Schwink's Hill, now
Yep.
it's all developed. But yeah,
So what's one of the things that, like, if we go back and think like 2000, you got your license in 2000, so 23 years ago, like, what do you think is like one of the biggest changes from that market, not even that market, to like how real estate was that year than it was like now? You know, like what's like the biggest change?
I really couldn't narrow it down. I mean, I guess what sticks in my mind is, as we just talked about, the lack of inventory and all
Yeah.
this. I mean, we've had a lack of inventory, in my opinion, in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Since COVID hit, it made it even worse. So, and I don't see that ever going away.
No.
I mean, because, there's not a lot of land left in Connecticut itself. And, the cost to build obviously is up. And I don't know. I don't know where that's going to change.
Yeah, it's like it's like something that's been obviously going on, and like people are obviously still coming to Connecticut,
Right.
and like you said, there's not a lot of land and there's not a lot of places to build. We're seeing like, I had a meeting in New Haven today, and I got off the exit down by like Grand Avenue over there.
Yeah.
And like you see like all these apartment buildings like all over the place. Like they're trying to put like, wherever they could,
Yeah.
try to get like these houses and everything, but you're running out of space to put people. So I think that it is like something that's really going to have to,
Yep.
something's going to have to change.
And thinking back in regards to your question about then and now, social media obviously is playing
Oh, yeah.
big part in real estate. I mean, it's, back then obviously they didn't have it.
So what was like a 2000 listing was just like what? You get a listing, get all the paperwork done, everything's good to go, and you just go ahead and put it like into newspaper.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's where I got my start. Actually, was sitting there watching the phones. A realtor would put her listings in there, and then somebody would call on that listing, and I would, help them out and try to convert it to an appointment. But that's come and gone.
Yeah.
They people call now off the riders on the listing, so they don't call the office anymore, to my knowledge.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely like, even like, I mean, I started 2015, and I know like there was office time and floor time and
Yep.
stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of it is like people calling the agent, right? Off the rider
Right.
or whatever. But it's crazy to actually sit here. I mean, you think about it, like you're obviously using your phone and stuff like that, like to go back. Like obviously it got a lot better, Like I was driving today. I had like a 12 o'clock like lunch appointment, and I'm sitting there and I had like my phone, I had my laptop on the table. I'm connected to my phone. I'm connected to my phone, my hotspot, and like reading emails, and it's just crazy to think like if I didn't have any of that stuff, it's like what do you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I sometimes think that it's too much of a distraction.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh God.
People say, well, I joke myself on social media. You go from one room to the other. When you're in this room, you know what you're gonna do. You get out there. What the hell am I here for?
Yeah.
But I think it's you're getting hit with emails, you're getting hit with text messages, phone calls, and don't get me wrong, I love that. But it's just I think it's it's a lot.
It is a lot
for the brain.
It is a lot for the brain, and I think you obviously have to have your time where you shut it off, right?
Yeah.
So like so your time of shutting it off as far as like relaxing.
It's usually like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, as you know, with a realtor, you're never really off. So
Yeah, I feel like there's always something going on.
9:30 at night, sometimes you're still negotiating a deal or whatever, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously, I mean, you've done it before that. What were you doing before?
I did on-the-road sales for packaging materials.
Yeah.
I did production management. I bounced around. I didn't find this until I was 40 years old, so I kind of wish I found it earlier in life, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but you stay, it's how you feel and stuff like that. And I remember we had So I remember in the beginning we had something whitetail, I think it was in
Yep.
Wallingford. Yep.
Yep.
And something happened like with the appraisal, right? I think even I think that was us. It was something in Wallingford.
I remember doing the deal with
Yeah,
you. I don't remember.
you
the
had a buyer.
details, though.
Had the listing and something and it didn't appraise. I don't know any of those things, but
Yeah.
obviously you've been through some. That was probably minuscule to like some of the things. So like if you think about like the worst thing that you've ever been through, because I mean going back to the sales thing, a lot of people like when they say to me like, oh, I wish I could get into real estate, but you know I don't know how to sell. You know, like you yourself compared to a sales job where you're on the road, like it's night and day.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
You're not like your sales job. Obviously, you're trying to procure something, and
Right.
even with real estate, you are, but it's not like the same, right? Like,
No.
do you feel that way also? Like people
Yeah,
say to you,
because
like,
you don't have the relationship with ABC company that you're trying to sell a product to.
yeah,
As opposed to a client agent, relationship. It's different.
Yeah.
You become. I mean, I've got great friends that I've developed over the 20
Oh,
years.
yeah.
I'm sure you have too.
100%, yeah.
Just because of the closeness and you're helping them out with probably the biggest purchase of their life.
Yeah.
So
We talked about that last time when I had Nate Prisbeck was on last week, and we talked about that. Like you don't know how much, like we obviously know how much we are changing somebody's lives. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? How much involved we are. So that's the same thing, same way I look at it. Like when somebody says as far as selling, like no, you're like you're making a relationship
Yeah.
here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you talk to these people, you text these people, and I'm not talking about like holidays. Like these are people that you like are close with over the years. You know,
Right.
you're helping them with one of the most important things of their life. Of course, you're going to stay close to them. So
Yeah.
it's 100% not being like a salesman
No.
and being like, you gotta buy this house.
you're right though. I don't consider it
No.
sales, but
Yeah.
it's a different. Unless you're in this business, you really can't fully feel what it's like.
Yeah.
After a few years, obviously.
Yeah, and it's you're absolutely right. I mean, I think I was on the first couple of years. I was like taking blood pressure medication. You know, no lie. I'm saying like 2015, 16. I was like, man, this thing was like beating me up because I was like so like crazy. You know, and then you just think to yourself like, all right, as long as you're doing everything you could do, trying to make everything happen, you're advising them the best way you could and doing what you have to do, like everything's going to play itself out like it should, as long as you're doing whatever you could. Like that appraisal thing was like probably for me back then, I'm thinking about it, was like, oh my God, what's going on? What am I going to do?
Right,
Now it's just like, okay, like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? Let's get back to the drawing board and see how we could make it work. But it is like a lot of people say to me like, oh, you're always on your phone. How do you do that? I would be annoyed or whatever. And as much as it is like, we have like a lot of things going on all the time. It is like, it's just what we do,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like a doctor when he has to give somebody bad news or a cop that has to write a ticket. It's what you do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're used to the highs and lows, the good and bad, and we just roll with it, I guess,
I mean, I've often said over the years in real estate and in life, there's a solution. You just got to find it to a problem.
100%.
You just got to find it.
Yeah. I
Sometimes it's not as easy as others, but
No, it's all in what you put into it.
Right.
It's what you put into your relationships, and what you put into your diet, what your mindset, like putting into your head, like, hey, today's not. If I don't have coffee or something, like I go downstairs and there's no water or something, it's not going to be the worst day ever.
Right.
Gotta find out where can I get water really quick, where can I get a coffee,
Yeah.
So it's not like the worst thing ever. There's other problems, So as far as yourself, like 23 years of stories. I mean, let's go with the worst transaction ever that you could think of.
Nothing really pops into my head. Like you said, appraisals.
Yeah.
Inspection issues. Those can be very stressful. But like I said, you work through it.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you think? I got to ask you, since because you're experienced, and this is why I'm kind of pumped to have you on here, because you get to ask going through, like, what do you think about pre-inspections? Like somebody's listing their house. You come to me and I'm listing my house. Like, is it a good idea to get like an inspection, like do an inspection, see what I have wrong with it?
I don't really. I mean, I've been asked that over the years, but I don't really promote it or say it to a positive, because let's face it, every inspector is going to do their inspection.
Yeah.
So I suppose if they're okay with spending the money, it's not a bad investment. But if you're that inspector is going to come in, that inspector for the buyer is going to come in, and who knows what they're going to find beyond the inspector that you've already had. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the other side of the coin, as you know, is disclosure. I mean, if you have a pre-inspection and God forbid they come up with termite damage and the seller's like, oh my God, well, it's disclosed. It's out in the open now.
Yeah,
You
now
got
you
to
gotta do it,
disclose it,
yeah.
or you got to fix it.
Yeah.
So
I always looked at it as like it just gets the emotion out of the way too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But then to your point, there's obviously like, pros and cons of it.
Yeah.
I always think of it as like, my furnace is old, and I'm going to tell you that it's old.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it might shit the bed tomorrow, or it might last another 3 years. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't know.
Right.
Like that's the way I see it, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting to know.
yeah. And I think it's money that the seller really doesn't have to spend.
Yeah.
But like I said, as you know, every deal's different. Every person's different on how where they want to allocate their money and how they want the transaction to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. And what do you think about these? Like I know we saw, like obviously we all went through the COVID scenario in real estate. How do you think it changed the whole thing?
I think it's well, thank God we're behind it or we're above, beyond it. I mean, I was out there showing homes, even with of course I was careful. I had gloves, I had a mask, the germ killer, all that stuff. But there again, I think in the inventory, I think it really lessened the inventory that much more because sellers were leery about having people come in their house. So,
And it was tough. I mean, you think about like, you're walking through people's houses, and I think back at it now, like you just said that, like, you're walking through houses like gloves, masks, not touching anything. It was just like such a weird time,
It's
for
funny.
everything.
I still get out of my car at times and start walking into a store, and I catch myself, and here we are, a year beyond. But it was such a way of life, that's.
Yeah, we have masks like hanging
Thank
from
God.
our mirrors and
Exactly.
stuff like that. You had booties all over the place. It was a crazy time, and I think as far as like adapting, we talked a little bit about social media and going back to somebody who like you said, you're sitting in the office 23 years ago, waiting for a phone call to come in, waiting for all that stuff, and for somebody to adapt and now go to the newer age of it, where you're actually like on social media, you're doing videos, you're doing updates, you're doing like these quick videos of everything. Like that itself, like you must have saw stuff that was going on social media and saying like, hey, I'm going to start doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and it works out.
It works, yeah. Because people, there again, it's a people business, so they see you. I mean, I follow a lot of gurus out there in regards to what they promote, and they basically say the more you can get on video, the more that person that you may do business with is going to know you because they've seen you on videos, how you handle yourself, what you say, things of that nature, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, I find it fun. I don't know. It's like an out for me.
Absolutely. Well, you're
Instead of pencil and paper.
Yeah, instead of like writing poetry or whatever, you're sitting there and you have videos and you're talking about, I mean, the stuff that is important. Like you're providing content and education for people. You know what I mean? You're talking about things like, hey, here's my day.
Yep.
Here's what I'm going to show, and this is why I showed this and that. Like it's good. It's stuff that people see, and like you said, they resonate with. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, that looks like a guy I want to work with.
Right. Right.
Or they're like, they run into you. Have you been out yet where somebody stops you and they're like, hey, I saw you on social media.
Yeah, exactly,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. But we had a thing on Meriden Green. They have concerts, on a Friday night during the summer, and what comes to mind when you say that is a lady came up to me. She says, "You're the guy that I saw." I don't know whether she saw me in the paper or she saw me anywhere at some place, and it's exposure.
Yeah, and I think exposure is key. And like you said, people are more less hesitant to work with somebody they don't know. Like they want to work with somebody they know. So these things were awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, it's fun. I get a kick out of it. It's just the way of life now in regards to real estate.
It is. I mean, there's stuff that I use my phone for everything. You know what I mean? You gain ideas from Instagram or Pinterest, TikTok, LinkedIn, like all these things. There's so much information. Like I find myself sometimes forcing myself not to go on my phone and almost picking up a book. You know what I mean? Because it's been but I'm like, oh, I just,
Yeah.
try to read and go through it,
Yeah.
rather than always looking at the phone. But there's so much information that you could gather from it. So I think it's definitely a benefit to our business, because
I joke with people. My wife's taken pictures of me over the years when we go on vacation. Here I am on the park bench, here's my husband on vacation, But, as you know, it's
Oh, God, we went
24/7.
Yeah, we went to. I was in Rochester for New Year's Eve, and we were golfing, and me and my cousins. And it was nice because it was obviously like January. We're sitting out there on the course, and I was working through like an appraisal. No, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like an appraisal issue. So I had like my phone, and I was going to drive, and they were the same thing, taking pictures. Like, look at this kid, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had my earpods. It'd make it so much easier. But yeah, it's constant. But I gotta say, like I love it. I can't picture. I know there's times where obviously, even today I was at a meeting we were talking about it. There's the times where you shut it off. You're like, all right, I'm going home. I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna do what I have to do. And if something could wait till tomorrow, it does wait till tomorrow. But I just try to tell my family, like, the people that are on the other line or the other side of this phone are ones that depend on us. You know what I mean? Like, they're dependent on you for an answer and for guidance. So if you're not picking up, it's like anything else. You know what I mean? They're sitting there wondering, so you'd rather like jump on the phone quick, let them know, the answer that they need.
I've often told people over the years, I don't know if I could be in a buyer's, of course I'm a realtor now, so I'm going to think of it different, in a buyer or seller's seat, because you're always relying on that realtor to do everything. And I'd be like, freaking out because I want to do it. I want to control it,
Yeah.
So I guess that's part of being a good realtor, is to have that trust within your client that, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I can, I have your best interest in mind.
100%.
So,
and with that, like, what do you think is like if you had to design like a prototype realtor, like what are the three main like ingredients? Like, what do you think?
Response is key, and just be like I said, have your your client's interest in first, not the wallet. Don't worry about the money. The money will come.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
Like Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And
True.
It's so true in real estate. And the third thing is just, you got to be open. You got to be, learn new things. I mean, I listen to podcasts all the time in regards to, especially social media now, what you should do and what's out there, what's working, things of that nature.
Yeah, so. and another to speak to that, like I listen to podcasts sometimes, whether it's real estate related or like Joe Rogan or something. You learn so many interesting things. But the cool thing about real estate is that I'm not saying that we're sick of our Connecticut market, but like you could jump on and follow somebody in like Los Angeles, San Francisco, like Long Island, like so many things, so many different areas, and say like, oh man, how are they doing it? That's a little bit different than how we're doing it over here. You know what I mean? So I think it's like, it's so cool to see like how different people are doing things. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
That's like a huge open window to like this whole real estate industry, which is really cool. Talking about interest rates being where they are and everything, like what's your best advice now to sellers? Like we'll say it as sellers first. You know what I mean? Like what's the best piece of advice? Like if a seller's coming to you now and they're like, hey Kevin, I want to list my house in Meriden or Wallingford, and I want to list, but I feel like I missed the boat. Have I missed it, or like from your experience?
I always bring the facts and figures with me anyway, and tell them to list it at the price where it's going to sound egotistical, but where I think it's going to sell.
Yeah,
and I think the problem now with sellers is they think that the market's still the same as it was 6 or 8 months ago, and it's not.
Yeah,
But yeah, the things are still selling. They're selling over list price, and they're selling, multiple offer situation. But you've got to have that correct price out of the gate in order to facilitate that. So that's what I do. I mean, like I said, I bring the facts and figures, and of course, you got the sellers that I want to list it at $10,000 or $15,000 more than what you're saying.
Yeah, because I have a garage or something like that. Yeah, I have an extended
Floyd
garage.
Wickman, he used to use years ago for I've got the heavy duty nails in the basement, in the floor, so I should get more money. But
That's a plus. That's more money, definitely.
yeah.
And for buyers, for the buyers that are coming to you and saying like, oh, Kevin, my interest rate's going to be, interest rates are going high. I'm going to take a break.
I don't know. I was just talking to an attorney the other day, and we were saying that I think we're actually getting away from it now, but the farther we get away from those 2.5% to 3% interest rates time frame, it's going to be more acceptable for somebody to understand. Look, at the interest rates are 5 and 6 now, so I still got to buy the house.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think, like I said, I don't think that ever is going to occur again in regards to a 3% interest rate.
Yeah. Oh,
I'd be
yeah.
shocked.
That was good times.
They were doing. I was talking to a mortgage officer, the same thing, and he said that the government lowered that rate to keep the economy going, to keep the real estate world going. So it was kind of fictitious in a way.
Yeah.
God bless the people that got 2 3/4 interest rate. So there you go.
Refi. Yep. Yeah. I mean that was you're not going to see it. So I think I think that's great advice and great knowledge. To give. So yeah, I mean, I'm totally future predictions we need here for Super Bowl.
I don't know.
Yeah, Chiefs
I'm
and
kind of biased
Chiefs.
because my oldest son is a Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
and he
really?
lives with me. So
Wow. It's gonna be such a great game.
I think so.
I think it's gonna. I'm so like. I was bummed. I did want Cincinnati to do it, but I'm happy. Like I mean, I'm a Raiders fan, so I'm just
a
like
Giants fan. So,
yeah.
We're out of
Yeah,
this.
but I just say to myself, like, I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl. It's going to be awesome to watch. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So all right. So you're going Chiefs. You have to go Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because like I said, he lives with us, so
Yeah. You gotta do something.
that's fun, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Mahomes, he's just a great
He unbelievable. Like you watch him and you're like, this guy just plays like so happy, so loose. Talk about mindset.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just. I've never seen him rattled. Just like.
No.
You'd be Patrick Mahomes would be a great real estate agent.
Yeah.
Right? You'd just
Yeah,
be like
right.
totally
Yep.
chill.
Yep.
Throwing your
what you
lockbox
gotta do.
keys, like a shovel pass and stuff. Like I think it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on here, Kevin.
Yeah,
And honestly,
same here.
like
I
I
appreciate
think
the
like the
opportunity.
knowledge is key. Education in this industry is great. You've been doing it for a long time. You've been doing it awesome for a very long time. So just got look in the camera, tell people where they could find you if they want to get a hold of you, or we could have like your Instagram. We put all that stuff on the video here.
Okay.
Yeah, when it's done. But phone number and everything, let them know.
It's Kevin Green. I'm with Berkshire Hathaway, and it's 203-213-1093. I have a website, kevinwgreen.com. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to me if I can help you at all. And
Awesome.
Thank you.
My pleasure, man. Thank
All
you
right.
thank you for coming. See you guys next time on the Sounds of Real Estate.